What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here with a one and done preview for the Valero Texas Open. This is not the full DFS preview. If you want to go see that, it's available right here. Let's try that. I've never done that before. I'll have to add that video in later. All right, so this is for the one and done pool that I'm in. Oh man, spoiler alert. Okay, no, we can show you this first. It's Gup's Corner. It's $50 buy-in. I have 3 entries, which is the max amount of entries you are allowed to have. Go back and watch the rules. You can win different segments, and there's a season-long prize as well. So up until this point, I think we've been both bad and unlucky. It's a bad combination to have. We've made a lot of fairly poor picks, especially with our first lineup here on the left-hand side. And then also we've been a little bit unlucky where we've basically picked everyone right before they won. We had a ton of Phil in the weeks leading up to his win, missed out on him. We had a ton of Patrick Reed leading up to his Masters win, missed out on him. Rory, I think we had we had Rory the week before the Arnold Palmer that he won, he missed the cut. So we've been pretty unlucky here. And we've made some bad picks, but we're still in play for some prizes here. Lineup number 3 last week we had Matt Kuchar at the RBC Heritage, netted us $53,000. Same number for Brian Harman. A little disappointing for both of those guys who were heavy favorites. We did get a good piece of Webb Simpson, who got us $250,000. So our first lineup, which was the literally one of the dead last lineups for segment 1, has started to rebound, and it is now our best segment 2 lineup, thanks to the last 2 weeks we've netted $1 million. With that being said, we also have a pretty good start for the majors. So we have Jordan Spieth with $750,000. We have DJ and Rory, all well into 6 figures for the majors portion of this. So pretty cool. This week, the Valero Texas Open, it's not a huge prize pool, but it is important for segment 2. And let me show you some standings real quick. Here are the season-long standings. Do I not exist in the season-long? There we go. So our number 3 lineup is still our best one. It's in 1,000th and 3rd place. Not great. Number 2, floating around 1,200. And then actually our first lineup is the one that has improved the most over the last 2 weeks, still in 1,273rd. So nothing great, but we do have better segment numbers here. That number 1 lineup is in 500th for segment number 2. So 1.2 million. First place currently 4.1. So obviously we're going to need a win or 2. But even if we can get up here in like the $3 million range, like we're kind of in business. So we're obviously going to continue to pound this second segment here, especially with our first lineup. So what we're looking to accomplish is lineup number 1. We're going to take a heavy favorite. We're going to pound it again. Lineup number 2, we are going to try to find a player who potentially can win this thing, but might not be as highly owned. And then we'll probably do something similar for number 3. And then one of them will kind of be a little bit of a dark horse as well. So let's look at who's available for this week. Here is our one and done tool. It's available on dfsondemand.com. We've got a couple of value picks outside the top 20 in world rankings. I think Adam Scott would be a decent play. Charlie Hoffman pops up here a lot. But let's look at actual dollar amounts here, okay? So in 9 starts, Charlie Hoffman's netted $2.5 million. He's won it before. He has 3 top 3 finishes in his last 5 starts here. Should be pretty chalky. Kevin Chappell, similarly, he won it last year. He's your defending champion. Has missed 2 straight cuts, right? So there's a little bit of a concern there, nagging injuries. But you'll see in a second, like Kevin Chappell pops off the board for us. And there's a few others. So let's jump to the cheat sheet and see what we can find here. Um, Sergio, Kucher, and Hoffman lead the way as far as Vegas odds go. All three, I think, are viable options. I think if you're out front, if you're leading the race in your pool, plugging in Kucher, plugging in Hoffman, probably a fine play. If you need to make up a little bit of ground, Ryan Moore, which we talked about on the DFS video, Ryan Moore, 20-1. It's the third best odds. Who's going to roster him? I don't think a lot of people will. He could be your dark horse there. And then I'm going to rely heavily on the tour stats. So, if you're new to this, literally a regression model to find, but it's actually between DraftKings scoring and every stat on the PGA Tour to see what stats are most important. These are the 5 stats that I've deemed most important. Or I'm sorry, I shouldn't even say that I've deemed them. The model has deemed them. I've got no opinion in the matter. Brendan Steele pops off as number 1 in strokes gained off the tee. Kevin Chappell, number 2. Luke List, number 3. Keep that in mind. Birdie or better. Pat Perez, notorious birdie maker. Number 2, Brendan Steele. Number, 5, Luke List. Number 7, Kevin Chappell. Putts over 10 feet. I talked about this on the DFS video. I don't really love this stat, quite honestly, but I put it on here because, I don't want to put my opinion in this. This stat correlates, but it's kind of a crappy stat. How often you make putts over 10 feet. A lot of flaws to it. Par 5 scoring, not that many flaws. Who else pops up on here? Charlie Hoffman, Luke List. And where's my boy, Brendan Steele? Okay. Strokes gained approach, also going to be very important this week. Chappell, List, Steele, all basically top 12. Hoffman in here too. So those are like the 4 guys I'm looking for. Brendan Steele is legit like top 10 in every single stat category. He's had success here in the past, I believe, right? He's knocked on the door a few times. Yeah, an 8th and a 13th in 2016 and 2015. 25-1 to win this thing. Coming off a missed cut at the Masters, not too concerned about that. Had a very high finish at the Waste Management, the handful of times he's teed it up since. Brendan Steele is going to get a lot of my DFS dollars, and I feel like I must plug him in a one-and-done situation, especially because I do not think he will be very popular. Luke List, on the other hand, probably will be a little bit more popular, but he's also going to make my cut here. As you can see, he's popped off, 3 top 7 finishes in his last 5 starts. Hasn't missed a cut as far back as this cheat sheet goes, which is back to the Farmers. Really good performance out of him. This seems to be a course that fits the mold. And then Charlie Hoffman is going to be another guy that I'm going to roster there. I'm going to stay away from Kevin Chappell in the one and done. Not because I don't like him, but a little bit of concerns about the nagging injuries. I'll play a lot of him in DFS. Don't get me wrong, but I don't, picking a defending champion in a one and done is usually pretty chalky. I'm probably just going to stay away from him here, and I'll roster Charlie Hoffman instead, who has won this tournament, has all the great finishes in the past. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to plug them in this order. So this one's going to be Charlie Hoffman. Okay. This is our best segment 2 lineup, and our I guess that's all that matters there. Our best segment 2 lineup. So I'm going to go for my best play here, which is my biggest favorite, which is Charlie Hoffman. Number 2, kind of just a wishy-washy type lineup, quite honestly. We're not really playing for much other than maybe the majors. Segment 2 has been okay. We're still going to need a win at some point here, probably. So I'm going to plug Luke List in. Luke List is a guy who I think will be more popular than most other players, but really seems to fit this course. And then over here, we'll take Brendan Steele. So the thought process here is we need to make up ground in segment 2. It is still our best lineup for the season long. So I think season long, we still have there's a lot of season left, so we still have an opportunity to get back in this thing. But this is the lineup we need to make the most ground up in segment 2. I'm assuming Brendan Steele will be pretty low owned. It'll be me and a handful of other guys. I assume maybe some of you watching this video might decide to join me. I assume he's going to be pretty low owned. So if he does go out and actually win this thing, I think he's going to win it at like less than 5% ownership, which means we should be able to make up ground. That's what we're trying to do with this lineup. We're trying to make up ground on segment 2. And I still think if he just top fives it, it continues to add to our season long total as well. So that's the thought process. Let me know who you guys are going with. Tweet me. It's at DFS on demand, or leave a comment below. Talk to you guys soon. Later.